issues regarding the transfer of money to the United States. Now, as you know, because of the sanctions, many Iranians are restricted from accessing international banking institutions, and they have difficulties in transferring their money to the US. And so they have to use exchange houses or money transfer agents. So my first question to you, Kate, is how often do you have this issue come up, and what are some ways to address it?
Well, we have this issue come up almost daily in our practice because Iran is just one of the many countries that has to deal with this issue. So there's a whole host of countries that have the same currency restriction issues: India, Vietnam, China, Egypt. So there's a lot of countries that we deal with this. And we're very experienced in dealing with it because over time we have seen what the trends are in government adjudication. What they want to see is money exchange occurring through a licensed money exchanger. And if you can present that information to the USCIS, then the case will be approved. Likewise, they will accept transfers from friends and family up to a certain amount, depending on the specific country conditions. And a lot of times we find with Iranian clients that we can speak to them about their source of funds, and they already have money outside the country, right, that they've opened multiple accounts. They have them perhaps in Dubai, perhaps in Turkey and other places, and they're able to take those funds, show the source and the path of them, and transfer them for their EB5 investment.
Right. Shay, do you have anything to add?
Absolutely. So I think maybe the idea behind this is Iranians perhaps have a little bit of fear because when they go to a sarraf or an exchange house, it feels clandestine. It feels very secretive. It's not a part of, the standard institutional process of sending money. So maybe they're fearful that it's not going to be possible or that ultimately they wouldn't get approved. Maybe one point is that Iran's not alone in this, right? So you've got, for example, China and India. There are certain restrictions in various countries on how much they can send abroad. So they can't use their ordinary channels all the time either. So it's not just Iran that's using exchange houses when they're trying to apply for their EB5 program. Don't feel alone in this. And people from China, India, Iran are constantly approved. As Kate, you were mentioning, so long as we get the right documentation, which is some registration documents. And obviously, our offices will guide you and tell you what documents you need to make sure that that piece of the puzzle, we can get through and ultimately get your approval.
But yes, I think the message is it's 100% possible. We get approvals weekly with this set of facts, and it's nothing to be afraid of. We just have to meet the requirements.
So as we know, according to the federal laws, specifically Section 560.505 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Iranians don't need a specific OFAC license to transfer funds to the United States. So my question to you, Kate, is what do you think the intentions of Congress were in carving out this exception for Iranian nationals?
I think any time OFAC adopts sanctions, they have a specific goal in mind. And the goal here was restricting transfers from government institutions. Private citizens who have nothing to do with the government, whose funds are not touching, any or being sourced from any kind of government activity, because the U.S. has no issue with the people of Iran, right, at all. And our foreign policy is not against the people of Iran at all. So the goal was to enable them to transfer funds, not requiring a specific OFAC license. And we've done it in many Iranian cases. We include exactly, you have 3 lawyers at the table when they start citing regulations. We include that information and, routinely it goes through. But we want to continue to allow people with honest earned income to come to the U.S., to be able to invest in the U.S., and those that are not subject to sanction are free to do so.
Exactly. Yeah, we have this issue come up a lot, and it's something that our clients are worried about, and we keep telling them, and we refer them to the federal statutes and tell them that, there's nothing that you have to be worried about, and if need be, we even speak to the bank representatives to sort out this issue for them.
By the way, Dina, OFAC, which is a very different agency than USCIS, you can actually hire an attorney to contact them and say, do I need a license in this circumstance? And they will actually respond to you via email and say, no, you don't. So that's something certain clients, if they need an extra level of comfort, a service that can be provided to them.
They are an excellent resource. They even have a list of persons, if you're worried about whether I should apply for this program, am I blacklisted, are there maybe background details about that Iranian applicant where they might face hurdles in the future. The OFAC has on their website a searchable search engine where certain people that wouldn't qualify would be then listed on there.
Right.
So that's another thing that we do in-house, right? So if a client's worried, we go through and do a full, thorough search to ensure that we don't meet any hurdles when it comes to transferring money because they wouldn't be on a watch list ultimately.
So a lot of our clients are worried that if they've done their mandatory military service in the IRGC, that this would negatively impact their application. So I wanted to ask you, Kate, have you had any clients get rejections because of this?
No, I haven't. And I've been processing Iranians for close to 20 years. So when you apply, you have to declare mandatory military service. And that includes regimes that we aren't necessarily in the best relations with. But it doesn't impact you as an individual. What would impact is if you made the military a career and you were fairly high up. That could possibly impact, and we should definitely have that discussion when we meet with the clients to see exactly what they were doing. But just mandatory military service, it must be declared, but it's not going to impact.
So what we see is the initial application, I-526 or I-526E, that gets approved. Where it can become tricky, and that's something that we will work with you with, is when it's time to go to the embassy, they'll ask you questions. Have you served in SEPA or anything like that? That's where you've got to answer in a very direct manner, and we will coach you on how to navigate those waters. Because based on just that one question, it could perhaps cause some issues if that advice and guidance isn't given to you. So going back to, it's not just Iran. There's a lot of countries throughout the world. You brought up, China, for example. It is a communist country. Mandatory, military compliance is necessary there, but a lot of people get through. So it's something to better educate yourself on, but you can certainly get through.
Exactly.
And get your visas and approvals.
As a reminder, military service is mandatory in Russia as well. And they routinely come in, no problem. So a lot of countries have that requirement.